We're going to continue on with our proportions unit, and in this video we're going to learn how to solve a proportion. We learned in the last video that a proportion are two ratios that are equal to each other. So here I have the ratio x over 15 equal to the ratio 6 over 10. To solve this proportion, we have to find out what this variable x is. What number does x represent so that this ratio is in fact equal to this ratio? To solve for x, we're going to use cross products just like in the last video. Remember, that means that we multiply the two numbers that are diagonal from each other. So if I do this here, I get 10 times x drop down my equal sign, and then we get 15 times 6. Now we can simplify this down. 10 times x, I'm just going to rewrite as 10x. Remember, when I have a number and a variable right next to each other with no symbol in between them, it means multiplication. So this is 10 times x. Drop down my equal sign. Equals 15 times 6. Grab my calculator here. 15 times 6 gives me 90. So I get 10x equals 90. Now we have an equation just like we looked at last quarter. This equation, 10 times x equals 90, and we have to solve for x. Remember, to solve for x, we always have to do the opposite. So since I have x times 10, the opposite would be to divide by 10. Whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other side. So you have to divide both sides by 10. 10 divided by 10 gives me 1x, or just x. 90 divided by 10 then gives me 9. So x equals 9 is my final answer, since I got that x alone there. Just like before, we can always check to make sure we have the right answer by plugging that 9 back in for x. And then we can check our cross products. 10 times 9 is 90. 15 times 6, we already did that down here and found out that that was 90. Since we get the same answer when we get our cross products, I know that x equals 9 is the correct answer, because that makes this a proportion. Let's look at the next one here. Same type of thing. I have this proportion, 3 over 15 equals b over 50. And again, we have to solve for this variable, b. To do this, we are going to find cross products. So 15 times b drop down our equal sign, set that equal to this 50 times 3. So 15 times b equals 50 times 3. Simplify that down. Again, 15 times b can just be written as 15b. Now I have 50 times 3, which gives me 150. Just like in this example over here, we have to solve for this b, so we're going to use inverse operations to do that, or the opposite. So the opposite of b times 15, again, is to divide by 15. So we want to divide both sides by that 15. Those cancel out, and I get just b left on this side, equals 150 divided by 15 gives us 10. So b equals 10 is our final answer there. Again, we can check that, plug that 10 back in. 15 times 10 is 150. 50 times 3 is 150. Since we get the same number when we do our cross products, I know that b equals 10 is the correct answer to make this a proportion. Let's look at the last one here. We have 20 over x equal to 12 over 15. So again, we need to find out what this variable x equals in order to make this a proportion. So we need to do our cross products. Multiply going diagonal. So we get x times 12, which I like to write the number first, so I'm going to write it as 12 times x. Doesn't matter, x times 12 and 12 times x is the same thing. We always write the number first. Multiply the other way, 15 times 20. Again, I could have gone 20 times 15. Either way, we get the same answer. Now I have 12 times x, which reduces, or simplifies, to just 12x again. Then we have 15 times 20. Pull out my calculator. 15 times 20 gives us 300. So on this side here, we get 300. So 12x equals 300. Again, our last step to solve for x is to do the inverse or the opposite. So the opposite of multiplying x by 12 is to divide by 12. Again, whatever I do to one side, you have to do the other. 12 divided by 12 gives us 1x. 300 divided by 12, pull back my calculator again. 300 divided by 12 gives us 25. So we get x equals 25. Plug that 25 back in for x here and check our cross products. 25 times 12. 25 times 12 equals 300. 15 times 20, we already did that down here, is 300. So again, since we get the same number when we recheck our cross products, I know that x equals 25 makes this a proportion. So that is the correct answer. So to solve for the variable, each time you want to multiply the two numbers diagonal and then divide by that number that's across from the variable. So each time you multiply by the two numbers that are diagonal from each other and then divide by that number that's with your variable. I hope this helps. Call me if you have any questions.